Welcome to the Richard Lloyd USA YouTube channel. I'm Richard Lloyd. Today I'm going to make a video on this TP-Link router. This is the WR940N. This is a version 3. And I have installed a third-party firmware on this router, which is required for this video. I'm going to make this router into a Wi-Fi extender or repeater. Now, what is a Wi-Fi extender or a repeater? It's the same thing, but different nomenclature. But basically what it is this. I'll show you a picture of what we're going to have when we're done. What it's going to do is connect to your primary home network, your home network router through Wi-Fi and extend the range of your Wi-Fi. In other words, if you want further coverage in your house, you connect this about halfway between the place where you want coverage and your router, and hopefully it'll extend it all the way to where you need it. Also, you'll be able to connect devices to this router with Wi-Fi as well, or Ethernet on the back. You'll actually be able to connect something to all 5 ports on the back. So basically what you're going to have is a Wi-Fi switch capable of connecting 5 Ethernet devices or more, if you use another switch to cascade, to your network through Wi-Fi. So as you can see here on the screen, you can connect a laptop, a cell phone through Wi-Fi, and a printer through Ethernet or Wi-Fi, either way, to this extender somewhere else in your house without having to run a cable all the way across your house. So that's what this is going to do. Like I said earlier, you will need the third-party firmware, the DD-WRT. I have videos on how to install it on this router, and I'll put links for that stuff up here. Also, I have videos on how to take it off as well, so you don't have to worry. You can take it off, and how to recover the router if somehow it gets messed up. And a little word of caution, the latest 2 router versions, the beta firmware versions, the R62606 and R62778 on this router will create a boot loop. Now, no big deal. You can always use my rescue video to bring it back to fully functional again. But, skip the currently the 2 latest versions, which are R62606 and R62778. But before we start doing anything, we got to do some information gathering. And what you're going to need, and I'll bring up my notepad here, your network information. In other words, where your router is, what its IP address is, because otherwise you may create a conflict between this router and it, and then nothing will work. So first thing we need to find out is your home router's IP address. So what we're looking for here is your current home router's IP address. And the way you find that is you go down here to your network icon, and I'm going to connect to my network through Wi-Fi. And let's see, there's my home network. I'm going to connect to it here. There we go. And once you do that, I'm going to go and get the IP address of that network. And the way you do that is go here to search and go to view network connections. You probably won't have it there, so just type in view and then network, and Windows should fill in the rest. And there it is, view network connections. We'll go with that. I am connected to my Wi-Fi now. Okay, and so here's Wi-Fi. Right click it, choose status, go to the details, and here you'll see IPv4 default gateway. That is the IP address of your router. Okay, so 192.168.1.1 on my case. So write that down somewhere, as I have here. And then you'll see the others, DHCP server and DNS server. Usually they're all the same IP address, but that is your router's IP address. Now, if yours is different from this, I'll show you how to handle it. But basically, this is step 1. Find out what your IP address is. And the second thing you need to know is what your Wi-Fi what they call SSID or Wi-Fi name is. So in my case, my Wi-Fi name, and I'm going to go back here, is actually, I'm going to connect here. There. My Wi-Fi's name is primary home router 2.4G. Now, reason I switched to that Wi-Fi network, number 1, is because it's 2.4G, and that's what this is. This is only a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi router. So we can only connect to 2.4 gigahertz. In future videos, I'll show you how to do that with 5 gigahertz routers as well, more advanced routers. That'll probably be my next video. But right now we're dealing with 2.4 gigahertz. So I'm going to connect there. It'll be the same information. You'll see here if I go status, again in details, that I get the same numbers. It's connected to the same router. Okay, so that's my home router's IP address. You get yours, and I'll show you how to handle that here in a second. Second thing you need to know also is, what is your primary home router's name, right? And in my case, it's primary home router 2.4G. So I've written that down in my notepad as well. Right here, you write down yours. Okay, so those are things you need to configure this router to connect to your home router. Okay, so we've got that. And the other thing that is it is important. We'll go here. This is why you need the IP address, to figure this stuff out. So if your IP address, your primary router is on 192.168.1.1 like mine is, then the extender can't be on this IP address. It has to be on a different IP address. And the way you change the IP address is this way. The blue box here is the network number, and the red box is your node number. So, the primary router is on a network 192.168.1 on a node 1. So that's its address. The extender can't be, and nothing on your network can be on the same IP address as something else. They'll have a conflict, and one of them or both of them won't work. So the router has to, the extender has to be on something else, like 192.168.1.2. And again, maybe like if this creates a conflict, then you're going to have you have to change this IP address from 1.2 to 1.3 or something else, right? If your network is on 192.168.0.1, then of course the network node, the network number is 192.168.0, node is 1. You'd have to change it, your extender to 192.168.0.2. And again, here's a different thing, which is unlikely, but let's say it's on 192.168.5.1, then again, you can see how this works out, right? So 2 should be a safe number for you, but you can use any number between 2 and 254, okay? So let's minimize this out of the way for now. Actually, write that down on your network thing. So DD-WRT by default will be on 192.168.1.1. Okay, so we're going to go back to our physical setup next. So what we're going to do is, let's go back. Here's what the extender is going to do. It's going to extend your network, and what you're going to do is now get an Ethernet cable, connect the router to your computer with the cable by itself, not through Wi-Fi or anything else. It must be physically connected with an Ethernet cable. So you're going to take it and take the cable and put it on one of the orange ports, the LAN ports, the Ethernet ports here, not the internet port. But we will, when we're done, be able to use any of these 5 ports to connect anything we want. Okay. Now the reset button is important. Notice that it's right beside the power button. I'm going to use it in a second to reset the router. And what you do is you turn on the router. I'll do that now. And you let the router boot up. And once it's done booting up, you just hold the reset button down for about 10 to 15 seconds. And it will basically take it back to the default configuration DD-WRT firmware comes with. So we got the Ethernet cable hooked up to the back of the router. And then the other side to your LAN connection on the back of your computer or your laptop or whatever device, computer you're using, usually a PC. Now, if you don't have an Ethernet connection on your laptop or your PC, you can buy one for about $10 on Amazon. I'll put a link to this in the video description below. And this one's a combo. So this is USB-A here with Ethernet. This is also 1 gigabit Ethernet too, under $10 or just over $10 worth of taxes. And it's USB-C as well. So really cool. Very handy things to have. At least I find them really handy. If you don't have one, go get one of these and then you can do all of this. So we've got the router connected. Mine is booted up at this point. I'm just going to hold the reset button down for, I don't know, probably 10 seconds, I believe. So let's see what happens here. I'll hold it down now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There you go. So it took about 12 seconds. You saw all the lights light up, and then basically it's rebooting at this point. So we've got it connected. Close this, minimize this for now. And we're going to disconnect from Wi-Fi as well, because we don't want to be connected to anything but the router itself. So I'm going to disconnect here and back to my view my networks. You can see that it's identifying right now. So it's still booting up. There we go. And it'll end up being on 192.168.1.1. Let me clear that out here. So there we go. There. So if you open up a browser window, go to 192.168.1.1. This is what you should get if you've reset it correctly. So I'm going to put in admin as a user. And whatever password you want to use. Make sure you don't have the cap locks on, because that'll mess you up. But again, if you mess this up and you can't get into it, and it looks like I just did, then you can just hold that reset button down again, as I just showed, and then it'll just come back to this screen, and you can do it again. So here we're going to change credentials. There we go. We're back into the router. And it will ask you to log in. So admin for me. And I had my cap locks on. So let's see, admin. Oops. And there we go. Yeah, I did put my caps on. Yeah. Tell you not to do it or watch out for it, and I do it. Sign in. There we go. Yeah, no big deal. So again, here we are back into the router. And now when I show you how to do this, it has to be like, do it in the sequence that I show you in. It seems to work better when you do it in a certain specific way. So let's go to the setup tab and basic setup. Here we're going to go to automatic configuration, DHCP, and we're going to disable that. And then we're scrolling down to here. And we got to change the IP address of this router, because as I said, my primary router is on the same IP as this router, so we can't have two in the same. So I'm changing mine to 2. And here underneath on gateway, it's the same number as we had in all the, well here, it'll be the same status. Notice that all of them are the same, so 192.168.1.1. And the local IP address this is the IP of the router, but this is the IP of your gateway, which is your main home router. So 192.168.1.1, 192.168.1.1. Now, if you get a 0 here instead, then of course you're going to put in as your primary router. You're going to change this to 0 all the way down on this number, okay? But I don't. So let's go down to here to DHCP server. Click on disable. Uncheck these 2 boxes here. And down here, we're going to change our time zone to wherever you are. I'm in Central, US Central. I'm in Texas. So here I'm going to hit save. Now do not hit save and apply. If you hit save and apply, it'll change IP addresses and it won't connect, and you'll lose basically the router, and you have to start over again. We're only going to hit save, okay? And also note that I'm on the revision 5.62508. This one seems to work really well. So maybe, if you're not using it, upgrade or downgrade to that one. All right, so we've got this done. We're going to go to wireless now. Actually, no, back to setup, basic setup. We're going to go to advanced routing. And here we're going to change it from gateway to router. And then just hit save again. Now we're going to go to wireless. Actually, let's go to services. We're going to turn off all our services. because we don't need them. Turn Telnet off. We're going to turn this TTRAFF daemon off and hit save. Basically, we're doing that to, not why should the router be running things that you're not using? Just, free up, overhead memory and cycles that aren't being used by doing that. Here we're going to go to security. We're going to disable the firewall, and just before you get too concerned, this doesn't have any security implications. Basically, your primary router will have a firewall anyway. Most by default do, and you don't need two on your network unless you have a hacker inside your house, in which case, well, you need to work on that. All right, so we've got that done. Now the next thing I do is go over to administration and info site password protection. Just click enabled on that, and that stops the advertising of everything on your router before you log into the router. Again, we're gonna hit save. Let's go back to security, make sure that took. Yep, it's all disabled. Services, all disabled, great. And now we're gonna go to wireless, and here we're gonna add a virtual AP. Now, DD-WRT underscore VAP is virtual access point. Okay. Now, what this is going to be is the Wi-Fi name of your extender. So we're going to change this to something that makes more sense, and we're just going to call it Wi-Fi extender and 2.4G, just so that it makes sense. So basically, when we have this all set up and you want to connect to Wi-Fi on the extender on the other side of your house, that's the name that you're going to use, and we're going to set up the password for that in a second. So here we're going to hit save. Then we're going to go to wireless security, and we're going to set this to WPA and WPA2 and CCMP-128. Now this is the most secure setting you can get on this router. And in a future video, I will show you, I got a pretty neat trick on how to upgrade Wi-Fi on any router. That's for another video, but regardless, this is more than good enough for this purpose. Down here, under your Wi-Fi extender 2.4G, hit WPA, WPA2, and again, CCMP-128 AES, and hit save again. All right, here, we're going to put a shared key, which will be the password for your primary home router. So let's see, put it in here. What you need is the password for your Wi-Fi network here. Okay. In my case, I'm just going to put mine in. You put yours in. And again, oops, looks like that wasn't checked. So make sure everything's checked. WPA2, CCMP, etc. down here. All right. And we're going to put a password in for it here. You put whatever you wish. And I'm going to do that again because I think I messed it up. There we go. And there we go. And you can unmask it here and see if you got it right. I'm just going to leave mine alone. Here I'm going to hit save. Now we've got the Wi-Fi set up with the right passwords. And the password can be the same here and here. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. Go back to basic settings. And here we're going to change this from app to station bridge routed. All right. And then we're going to hit save. And you can see how this all changed, right? Here, another setting we need to do is set this to manual. And we're going to put in 192.168.1.1, which is your gateway number down here, okay? So just set that up that way. Leave all the rest of the network mode and channel width alone for now. I'll show you how to tweak that up and get a little more speed out of it. And here, we got to put in the SSID of your primary router. In my case was primary home router 2 2.4G. And then hit save again. Now, let's go verify we got everything correct before we hit save and apply, which will change the IP address of the router from 192.168.1.1 to 192.168.1.2. Here we're going to go to setup. Everything looks right. Disabled. All right, we got the IP addresses correctly. Notice how DHCP just completely disappeared. And let's go to advanced routing. It is set to router. Okay. Let's go to services. They're all disabled. Security, disabled. Administration, yep. Info site password, all right. And wireless, station bridge routed. The right SSID for your home router. And Wi-Fi extender 2.4G. Wireless security. Looks all good. So at this point, we're going to hit save and apply. And at this point, the router will probably reboot. And we won't be able to access it here anymore. But we're still connected to it through Ethernet. Where we're going to go to now is 192.168.1.2. Okay. So we'll click on that. And appropriately, it asks you for the password, username and password. So I'm just going to put my cap locks credentials in. There we go. We're in. Just put yours in, however you did it. And now you can see that we're on, the same WR941 or 940ND. It's the same router. I explained that in other videos. And again, like I said, use those links up there if you don't have this set up correctly. All right, so we're back in. If we go here to status and wireless, you'll see that we're connected. It says station bridge mixed. You can see that data's moving and everything's cool. So at this point, I should be able to see my primary router. So I'm going to open up a window here. Got 1.1, and there's my primary router, right? And it is let's go to, well, of course, it's got to give me that. It is a Netgear R8500. So you can see it's a different router, and I am connected to it. Let's do some speed testing. And speedtest.net, pretty reliable. I'm going to change the server to my favorite, which is Fort Worth, and just hit go. Hit allow on that. Now, we're currently connected to this router through Ethernet. So this will be more than usually the fastest connection you can get to it. Okay. So we're currently surfing through this router through an Ethernet connection connected to it, but it is connected to my other router through Wi-Fi. All right, you can see the speed here. Let's go to back to the router, 192.168.1.2. There we are. Go to wireless here, and as you can see, we've got these settings, but I find that if you go to 2.4 gigahertz and 40 megahertz, you get a little bit faster of a setting, a little bit faster connection. Here we're going to hit save, but you can experiment with this all you wish. There we go. And I'm going to reboot it again. So administration, reboot router. There we go. Take a little second, and then we'll do the speed test again. All right, router's back up. If I hit continue here, you'll see it. Yeah. Let's go back to the speed test, see what happens. Slightly faster. Oh yeah, well, that's considerably. Now we're 75. We were 66 before. 77. 78. Not bad, right? So currently, we're connected to this router through Wi-Fi. So it's not through Wi-Fi, through an Ethernet cable, which basically means like anything you connect to one of those Ethernet ports will connect to your network through this router. Again, we're using one of the orange ports, and I said at the beginning you could only use the orange ports to program it, but now you can use any one of the 5 ports on the back. So now you have a 5-port switch that's connected to your network through Wi-Fi. So I just plugged it into the internet port, just to show you that that works. And here we're going to go to do that test again, see what happens. And as you can see, you know, in the Ethernet port for Wi-Fi, in the internet port, it's working as well. And I got a little faster there, it's 7980. So there we go, 81. Not bad at all, right? This is a 100 megabit maximum router through Ethernet, so you're not going to get much faster than this anyhow. So this is excellent. Now I'm going to disconnect the Wi-Fi from it. Oh, sorry, the Ethernet from it. My apologies for that. So I'm going to take the Ethernet cable off of it, which means we're no longer connected to it through Ethernet. And I'm going to connect to it through Wi-Fi. So go back down here, go to turn on my Wi-Fi, and then look at connections that are available. And I'm going to disconnect from that. There we go. Now, see here, Wi-Fi extender 2.4G. That's what we called the access point when we were setting it up. So we're going to connect to that. Connect. Of course, we've got to put a password in. There we go. Next. And we're connected to this router now. This router through Wi-Fi. Awesome, right? So now you can see that the extender is working both as an Ethernet switch that you can connect to with a hard cable and a Wi-Fi connection or access point that you can connect through Wi-Fi. So there we are. Let's do another test. It's going to be slower because by default, Wi-Fi is slower than Ethernet. And the reason for that is Ethernet is full duplex, meaning it can send and receive data at the same time. Wi-Fi can only send or receive data at the same time. So if it's sending, that's all it can do. And if it's receiving, that's all it can do. So it's half duplex. So you're going to see that it's going to be much slower, obviously. So let's see if we can do a little tweaking with this. Make it a little faster. Let's just go back. Let's just turn this back to mixed and 20. And hit save and apply. That should disconnect me here in a second. We'll see. We're connected, but okay, there we go. So every time you change the Wi-Fi settings, the router's going to, reboot the radios or maybe even the router itself. So let's see what happens after that. Let's make sure we're connected to the right Wi-Fi extender. We are. Let's go. Yeah, it's slightly slower. So back to the original settings. Again, a little bit of experimentation. If I go here to 2.4 gigahertz and go to 40, you hit save and apply, then it works again. So again, you could have a lot of Wi-Fi devices connected to this somewhere that your router wasn't reaching before, and you can have Ethernet connections to this extender as well, which is awesome. You can, if you have a printer that isn't Wi-Fi and you configure this router the way I've done in this video, then you can just connect an Ethernet cable to the back of this router, and your non-Wi-Fi printer is now connected to your network through Wi-Fi. Pretty cool, right? So again, very useful. Let's see what happens at this point. One more time. Yeah, still going to be slow. Yeah. So again, this is the kind of performance you can expect from this. At this point, we're basically done. That's how you turn this WR940N TP-Link into a Wi-Fi extender. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you liked this video and it helped you out in some way, do me a huge favor. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a like on this video. That helps my channel. That helps me on YouTube. Also, if you like my content and you want to see more of it, subscribe to my channel. As part of the process of doing that, hit the bell icon, and when you do that, you'll be notified every time that I put up a new video, and you can watch it at your own leisure. I'll put links for stuff in the video description for, like, say, for the Ethernet connector and other things like that. Those are affiliate links, and they help me out a little bit, but they don't cost you any more than going directly to Amazon and buying the stuff. And you also, by using those links, will get the same hardware that I'm using in this video. Also in the video description, I like your comments, suggestions, anything you want to say to me, put it in the comments section below. I respond to those regularly, usually daily, and sometimes I make videos as a response from the questions, because it's just easier than, you know, writing out a book telling you how to do something. So anything you want to ask me, tell me, or even video suggestions, put them down there. I'll review them if I find them valid or something I want to do. Sometimes I do make videos to answer questions and also video suggestions as well. All right. I really appreciate you watching. Like always, take care of yourself, and we'll see you on the next video.